Arizona State football fans and college football sickos all know the name Cam Skattebo, but is he heading to the NFL soon? Well, we're going to discuss it. It's another edition of Southwest Bias.
Get that stuff out of here. It's Southwest Bias.
It's, of course, brought to you by our friends over at Branded Bills. Make sure you elevate your brand with Branded Bills, the perfect headwear and apparel. I'm wearing mine right now. Use code PHNX for 20% off your first order. And, of course, we're in Studio K, presented by Circle K. Download that Inner Circle app for free and save yourself some money. Oh, if I'm talking Sun Devils, I got my good friend, co-host of PHNX Sun Devils. You can catch us 5 days a week on this very channel right here, PHNX Sports. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's Anthony Totri, commonly referred to as just Totri, here on Southwest Bias. Your Arizona State Sun Devils, 5-1 on the season, knocking on the door of being ranked, should be ranked, empowered by, if I had to narrow it down to one person, am I wrong to say Cam Skattebo?
No, I don't think there's another answer that you could even come close to arguing.
So for those who are not familiar with his game, can you give me like a 2-3 sentence breakdown of who exactly Cam Skattebo is as a football player?
Cam Skattebo is the muscle hamster for your Arizona State Sun Devils, 5th nationally in rushing yards, 2nd in the Big 12 in rushing yards. In terms of Big 12 scoring, I believe he is also in the top 10 alongside one other skill position player. The rest in the Big 12 are just kickers, to be honest with you. Cam Skattebo,
He can do that too.
He's the closer. He's the closer for Arizona State when everybody in the stadium knows who's getting the football on both sides of the field. It doesn't really matter when you have Cam Skattebo in the backfield.
I would say if I had to use one word to sum up the Cam Skattebo experience, it's ruthless.
Yeah.
He is absolutely 100% ruthless. He will run through you. He will run around you. He will do it in a timely manner, and he'll do it when you don't want him to.
Yeah, Cam Skattebo, he's rated E for everyone because it doesn't matter what defense you really are throwing out there. He is going to give it to you.
Come up with that on the spot?
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
That's what we do, man.
That was pretty good. So let's take a look at just the Big 12 and college football, and then eventually the NFL. There's a lot of good running backs in the Big 12. Of course, Taj Brooks comes to mind as what people would probably consider, nationwide the best, along with what was Ollie Gordon before this season's disaster happened. Where do you put Cam Skattebo among Big 12 running backs?
Among Big 12 running backs, I put him in the top 3.
Okay.
I think any given week, you can start to make an argument for some of those guys. Devin Neal, RJ Harvey, Taj Brooks, obviously. You mentioned Ollie Gordon. But one thing that Cam Skattebo has over the majority of those running backs is this past week named Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week for the 3rd time this season, which is just a crazy statistic to have only halfway through the year. So I think he is definitely a top 3 running back in this conference. And then there's certainly a conversation nationally, I think, for him to be a top 5 back as well.
Well, that's where I was going next, was if you're top 3 in the Big 12, you're still one of the top running backs in the country, because the 2 that are ahead of you or that you're in contention with are also considered 2 of the best in the country, in RJ Harvey and in Taj Brooks. And with Cam Skattebo, I mean, there is an Arizona State implicit bias because we watch every single snap of this guy every single week, but there simply is not something that he does not do.
Yeah.
And you saw that in a bad way last season with Arizona State. Disaster, 3-9, no quarterback. Cam Skattebo plays quarterback. He plays running back. He's the punter. He does absolutely everything that you can do. This season, he has more of a focused element to his game, which is something he didn't have control last year, but he also is a special teams menace. And I know that goes under the radar with a lot of things, but your star running back being a special teams menace is an extremely valuable piece to have on your team. I think that does add to the whole Cam Skattebo value, I guess, package if you're going to compare him to other top running backs in the NCAA.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any other star player across
the
college
best player
football.
On the team.
Yeah,
that plays special teams.
That is on a kickoff, not necessarily kick return or punt return, right? Because you have those scenarios where you've got a really talented skill guy that's going to be back there trying to take it back for 6. But it's very rare that you see a player with Cam Skattebo's talent and just honestly the workload that he already has offensively opt to do stuff on special teams, especially when it doesn't involve him scoring. You know what I mean? Like, it involves him playing defense in a way. So, yeah, Cam Skattebo, all he's done since literally week 1 is just boost his draft stock.
So, GT is the number one.
He's one of one.
He's number one. And
17 touchdowns already on the season, over 1,000 rushing yards.
Now, the competition that he's played, besides Oregon, not the greatest, but he's doing exactly what he needs to do against
he's
them.
doing things that nobody's done since Barry Sanders in college.
So we have then Taj Brooks and we have RJ Harvey. Who else is in there in that top 5 in your opinion?
I think Judkins at Ohio State is certainly a running back up there. And you want to talk about competition, they've certainly played their fair share of interesting defenses. You could argue ETN, who I believe is now at Georgia. He's either at Georgia or Bama. I know he started at one of them and then transferred to the other. And then Scat. So I think Scat is certainly, you could make that argument. I honestly, Ashton Jeanty at Boise State and Judkins at Ohio State would probably be the only 2 running backs that I would put above Cam Skattebo right now.
Yeah, if you're trying to win a game, if it's the fourth quarter, and again, if you have not watched Arizona State and you're sitting here saying, dude, these guys, they're
You're
so
missing
biased.
out. You're missing out.
They're so biased. And I know, like, Arizona State's now kind of becoming this, this low-key fan favorite. I mean, they're almost ranked, but they're not ranked, and everybody is liking the story, and they love Kenny Dillingham. But if you haven't watched, like, not just the Cam Skattebo highlights, because, yes, the Skattebo highlights are awesome, but the context in which those highlights happen and the plays around them, too. I mean, if you look at this last game against Utah, obviously these are the bigger plays. They would be on any highlight reel, but there's that. I think it was like 25, 26-yard reception, setting up a 47-yard touchdown run to take down the 16th team in the country in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And this is the same player that, against Mississippi State, to secure the school's first ever win over an SEC program in football, was a monster in the fourth quarter. Same thing in Kansas. A slow, quote, slow start, but a designated slow start because they didn't give him a lot of touches.
Yeah.
At the end of the game against Kansas, they fed him the ball and he won the game. This is a guy that you give the ball to when the game is on the line, and he has found a way to deliver every single step of the way. And with defenses knowing, like, Sam Leavitt is good. He's not great. He's a redshirt freshman. He's getting better. He's not the main priority that defenses are focused on. Wide receiver-wise, that room has been lacking a lot. There's not a true receiving threat that even comes close to the type of threat that Cam Skattebo is. And there's not another running back on this roster that's getting the same type of run that Cam Skattebo is. So every single opposing defense knows when you go in the game against ASU, either at the beginning or when it gets down to crunch time at the end, more likely than not, the game's going through Cam Skattebo.
Yeah.
How hard is it for a running back to still do what he's doing when really he is the lifeblood and the main sole focus on offense?
I mean, it's a giant challenge. You look across college football to opposing stars, right? And you've seen them be shut down. We talked earlier about an Ollie Gordon. Ollie Gordon hasn't had a great season this year. Yes, injuries play a part in it, but even when he was healthy, he wasn't having a really strong start to the season, and everybody knew that Ollie Gordon was the one at Oklahoma State that was getting the ball. Cam Skattebo, like you said, every defense knows that when number 4 is in the game, it's probably going to Cam Skattebo. And it hasn't mattered to this point. I do want to credit Arroyo, the Arizona State offensive coordinator, and then, of course, Kenny Dillingham, because thus far this season, they have set up Cam Skattebo for success. You bring up Sam Leavitt, you bring up other running backs. While those guys haven't necessarily been major threats, they have played just enough of a role this season to actually keep Cam Skattebo fresh when you get to the fourth quarter. And Kenny said it on Monday at his press conference. We've been able to keep him fresh going into the fourth quarter to where when you need a good chunk of yards, when you need somebody to get you a first down, Cam Skattebo still has 7 or 8 really good carries left in him, which you couldn't say last year. Last year, Cam Skattebo was the guy. There wasn't a passing threat. You were playing different position players at quarterback. You were never winning the position battle in terms of the field position because your punter was literally also your running back. Like, you weren't set up to succeed. But this year, they do have a stable of running backs. They got a dual threat quarterback, and it's allowed Cam Skattebo to, yes, get carries throughout the game, but when they need somebody to put the game away, the boogeyman, number 4 himself, he's still healthy enough to do that.
Yeah, he is. And I do like not just crediting the coaches for the way that they've been calling the plays and making it creative in order to get him looks, but also on him for this offseason changing his body. I mean, this was somebody that no matter how he was playing, whether it's the same as he was before, if he tweaked it, he was going to be one of the best running backs in the Big 12 and one of the most underrated running backs in the country. That was just what's going to happen with Cam Skattebo this season. But what he did was he got slimmer, still stayed strong, and now he's finding new ways to adapt defenses and new ways to keep them on their toes. Mm-hmm. And that's just as important as finding new ways to scheme him up or having some protection because I mean, Cam Skattebo will plow through an entire team. He'll also make you miss around the edge and break away wide open free for that 47-yard touchdown run. He plowed through somebody, and then he ran so fast that they couldn't catch up, even though he stumbled after he plowed through them. Yeah, that's body control, that's strength, that's speed, and that's intelligence that can go to the next level. So the question is Cam Skattebo an NFL level running back? And we're going to answer that question after we take a quick break. Of course, I mentioned that this episode of Southwest Bias is brought to you by our friends over at Branded Bills. I am rocking my Branded Bills right now. We've got Branded Bills back there. They are truly the best hat I've ever had.
Ooh, I like that camo one back there.
The camo one's pretty nice. I wore that in the last edition of Southwest Bias with Mike Luke. Listen, Branded Bills, amazing. Perfect headwear and apparel. They got snapback, truckers, fitted beanies, and more, plus t-shirts.
They do. They do.
Not just Branded Bills, but branded tees. And you can get your own brand on there. I know us at PHNX, we're going to be getting our own custom stuff, and we might even have some of that to sell to you guys. Make sure you keep an eye out for that. And of course, they do wonderful things. They have a partnership with ASU, and they do charity work across the valley, working with the University of Arizona.
There it is. I was waiting for it.
In Tucson, a local company out of Mesa, Arizona. Make sure you support Branded Bills at brandedbills.com. Use code PHNX for 20% off your first order. We're going to talk about maybe what the floor might be for Cam Skattebo in the NFL, but are your floors in good shape? The answer is they're probably not where you want them to be. And if that is your answer, may I please introduce you, have the honor of making your acquaintance with Empire today, because they want to make it easy, quick, and convenient for you to get the right floors in your home at the right price and, of course, the right quality. They're not just going to come in and say, hey, here's some flooring, take it, we're in, we're out, 2 hours, and we're going to take your money. No, they're going to make sure that you have the highest quality product and the right one for your home, your apartment, your business, whatever it is you might need. They're here to help you out, whether it's with their virtual floor visualizer that lets you see what your floors would look like in your room or in your home beforehand, or if it's the same in-day consultation that you can have as well. They're not going to guarantee you the lowest price, because if they did, they'd be putting flooring in your home that they wouldn't put in their own. And you never want that. You don't want a chef to feed you something they wouldn't eat themselves. No,
absolutely not.
No, you wouldn't. But you can get some money off. Schedule a free in-home estimate today, and all listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use promo code PHNX. Some restrictions do apply. See EmpireToday.com/PHNX for details. I'm going to go with the simple answer, and then we're going to get the detailed explanation. Yes or no, Cam Skattebo is an NFL-level running back. Not just get drafted, but somebody who could see snaps in the NFL.
You just want yes or no?
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Why?
I think it starts with going back to what you saw from Cam Skattebo last year and kind of the evolution of him as a running back. I think can be exciting for opposing, or not opposing, but just general managers, for head coaches in general. Last year, he was a strength guy. Last year, Cam Skattebo was a guy that if you needed a bully, you put Cam Skattebo in the game. Like you said, he cut weight. He's faster. The thing that I've been most impressed with thus far this season is Cam Skattebo's his ball carrier vision, and then his balance. His balance on that 47-yard scamper to put the game away against Utah was just absolutely incredible. And the ball carrier vision to be able to see the cuts that weren't necessarily there last year that he's seeing now, and it's helped him be a top 5 running back nationally when it comes to rushing yards. It's helped him score more than 6 touchdowns already this season. He certainly has, I'm not going to say earned yet. He's certainly playing his way onto an NFL roster, and the special teams comments that you made earlier, those are things that are even more enticing to NFL head coaches and general managers, to have a guy that loves football enough to just get in the game where his team needs him. And Cam Skattebo is that guy. In every single game, he is proving that he is worthy of an NFL roster spot.
Yeah, the special teams part is for me the reason why, if for some reason I can't see this happening right now, he goes undrafted, right? I for sure see him getting a shot to earn a roster spot simply because of special teams. So I think that's the floor. I think the floor is that Cam Skattebo is a special teams, specialist in the NFL, right? But the thing that I think is going to elevate Cam Skattebo, while it is, he works on his body, he can run in a bunch of different ways. It's harder to do that against NFL level talent. To me, it's the smarts. Mm-hmm. It's the ability to diagnose a play and to figure out exactly what you need to do to pick up a couple extra yards. It's the brain element of it matched with that physical. Because there's not a game where I think I've been like, wow, Cam missed a block there. Mm-hmm. Wow, Cam made a mental mistake. Oh, he should have cut in, but he cut out, or he tried to go straight forward. Yeah. He makes the right decision every time. And I think an NFL team, listen, we're at every game. There are NFL scouts at ASU's game. Yeah. And I promise you, they are there to scout Cam Skattebo. Along with other players, they're definitely there to scout Cam. Yeah. Because he can run, he can catch the ball, he can go out of the wild scat, as we call it.
He can throw the ball.
He can play special teams. He's thrown the ball.
He was a punter at one point last year.
And the mentality side of it of sticking with ASU when I'm sure other schools have come knocking and offering money, I think that also does play into the fact where it's like this guy cares. This guy actually gives a crap about what's going on with his team, with the people around him. That's the type of guy that you want in your NFL locker room. I'm not going to say he's going to come in and be a starting running back. I don't even know if eventually just physically he can be a mainstay workhorse in the NFL starting running back. Yeah. But I think he can be your change of pace second guy who can also be used as a receiving threat and is a special teams monster. And there's an enormous amount of value in that. And I think his ceiling is somebody who gets consistent touches in the backfield and runs the ball. I think he does have NFL level talent, but not like Gene T in the fact where you're like, you might be a top 10 pick and you're going to be getting the ball about 600 times your first season.
Maybe not immediately, but I do think Cam Skattebo can be a 1-2 running back in terms of like if he's a backup for somebody, if he's a third down running back. Mm-hmm.
I think he can be an important piece of somebody's offense.
I think so too. And I think there are a couple teams schematically, offensively that would absolutely snag Cam Skattebo.
Cardinals, please.
I think the Cardinals are certainly an option, especially with an aging James Conner. Yeah. I think Kyle Shanahan would absolutely he would cook. And then of course I think there's Jim Harbaugh.
I think even like Sean, listen, I hate the Rams, I hate the 49ers, but those are two teams that I feel like would be perfect in using Cam Skattebo.
The Rams, them with Kyron Williams and then Blake Corum already last year. I see more of it being a Harbaugh thing where you got a dude that just loves football like that. Yeah. That you could definitely utilize him. So there are a number of teams. The Cardinals, like you said, certainly an option. And I know there are Arizona State fans that would love to see him in an Arizona Cardinals jersey.
Me being one of those.
But you never know. There's 32 teams. So we'll see. He'll definitely be in the league.
Hey, if he doesn't go to the Cardinals because he's taken with a high draft pick, I'm so happy for him that I'm not even mad. He deserves it. I don't think there's a harder worker out there that deserves it more than somebody like Cam Skattebo. What do you guys think? Maybe you're an ASU fan and you think absolutely. Maybe you're a U of A fan, hate watching this because you're so sad about your team and you think we're just absolutely delusional.
U of A fans want Cam Skattebo on their team.
They do, real bad. Let us know down in the comments. Are we right? Are we wrong? We will be back. Maybe not Totri, but I will for another edition later this week of Southwest Bias. Wait, I'm going to reverse it. We're not outroing just yet. You can find Totri at Anthony_Totri on Twitter. You can find him on the PHNX Sun Devils show 5 days a week at PHNX_Sun Devils. I, of course, will be there as well. If you missed the news, I am now converted to a full-time host, so I'll be on PHNX Sun Devils 5 days a week. You can also catch me on PHNX Suns as well as the season gets started. Oh, so soon. Literally next week. Keep an eye out for that. All of that right here on PHNX Sports. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. And now I will outro it for real this time.
Okay.
We'll catch you later this week for another edition of Southwest Bias.
Get that stuff out of here. It's Southwest Bias.